Okay, good afternoon. This is Debbie Davis. It is April 24th, Sunday, April 24th. I haven't done a video in a few weeks. Been trying to lay low a little bit and busy with things, but I have more things I want to touch on and some things that I want to follow up on from some of my other videos that I've done. So I wanted to touch on a few things. One of the videos that I did, just couple of videos ago, I was talking about the incident that happened at Fort Montham Air Force Base in Montana, and I wanted to follow up on that because some people have asked me, what date did that happen? Because it wasn't in the news. Of course, the fake news didn't touch on this, so I wanted to explain, according to, on the military side, what really happened at Montham. And because I had touched on it just a few videos ago when I talked about my sworn statement in DC, and then some of the other things that were factors in, various different things that came out when they were trying to impeach Trump about all these disasters that happened under Obama, Biden, and, they're like, oh, I mean, it was like night and day how much better Trump was of a commander-in-chief than Obama, Biden. So, so that's why, the military came to his rescue when they were trying to do these fake impeachments. But, what happened, the incident at Montham Air Force Base happened in January 2017. Here's the incident. You can look it up. They called it a cheating incident. This is what this is how they spun it, but that's not what happened. They said the Air Force cheating scandal now involves at least 92 nuclear missile launch officers at Montham Air Force Base. They tried to say there was cheating involved on the parts of the airmen, when really it was the airmen that saved a ballistic missile from going off that was above their level. There's something happened above their level, and they were the ones that stepped in to stop it. This is how they spin stuff in the fake news. This was a failure. They said it was a failure on the integrity of the part of the airmen. Oh, so you're telling me like 90 airmen had this secret agenda to steal a ballistic missile? Come on. This is what I'm saying. Like wake up. Like, this is not what happened. A cheating scandal of 92 officers got together and said, hey, let's see if we can steal this missile today. Of course that's not what happened. They were the ones who were caught off guard when this nuclear incident happened, and they tried to stop it from going off. Either, like I said, I was on Stu Webb, and either it was something was intentionally being set off, or it was trying to be stolen. Okay, so then if you remember, Trump made a visit to North Dakota in September 6, 2017. Okay, and one of the places he visited was another Air Force Global Strike Command Center, Minot Air Force Base. And this is where I heard about the incident from. I heard about this incident in Montana from some guys from Minot. Just randomly somewhere in North Dakota. I just happened to hear about it from some people. It wasn't even, they were all basically hushed and told to ever not talk about it. But I somehow got the information from somebody from Minot that told me about the incident in Malmstrom. Because they were both the same type of global strike command type installation. So of course I'm sure Trump went to secure that base as well when he flew into North Dakota. I mean, I'm sure that was one of the things he did when he flew in. People were probably wondering, what is he doing coming to North Dakota, because there's not a lot of presidents that come into North Dakota. It's not a very, he flew into Bismarck, I believe, and I remember, he flew like right over South Dakota where I was at the time. So, but, and the other thing that he did there is that he met with the farmers, because there's an incident with the farmers where I've talked to the farmers in North and South Dakota, and there's an issue where they were forced to grow the genetically modified seeds. They've been forced to do that. It hasn't been really an option, because it was like, it's way too expensive to go organic. Like, once you start going the genetically modified, they sell you special pesticides, special seeds and everything. And then what was happening is that everybody was stopping buying the genetically modified, like in the stores. If I see a genetically modified, I'm not going to buy it. And the same thing was happening like all over the states. And so they were upset because nobody was buying the corn anymore, the genetically modified corn. So I believe what Trump did for them is, I believe that he figured out some way of selling the corn throughout the country, throughout the world, instead of, to helping them get rid of it. Like, I think he got a lot of it sold to China. Because they were like stuck with these products that they were forced to grow. That's my understanding, is one of the things that he did on his trip there. So, but anyway, and so I've been hearing, I'm hearing other incidences, because I've been talking about these very serious issues that have been happening at military bases. Started with me telling the story about what happened at my military base in Arizona, and then I've touched on the other military base where there was been a ton of deaths between. My understanding is between about 25 soldiers have been found dead or missing from Fort Hood, Texas. Okay, you can look this story up. I've touched on this a little bit. There was a lady in the news that ended up dead there named Vanessa Gillian. A lot of these soldiers are found bludgeoned to death with a hammer. She was bludgeoned to death in an arms room. I believe all she did was try to report some kind of sexual assault or something, and this is all she did. These soldiers are not doing anything to deserve this. So this is a kind of environment that was created under Obama Biden. Just terrifying environment where there was secret things going on at all hours of the night through these military bases. Like I've told you that in Arizona, there was something going on all night. There was secret CIA operations going on all night. So my guess is that some of these soldiers might have been accidental witnesses to something, and they were maybe, found that they could have been witnesses to something accidentally that was going on, and then they were murdered. I believe it's the CIA that is murdering all these soldiers. It's my understanding. I don't, I'm sure it'll come out. But my understanding is the CIA has been doing secret military operations through military bases for a long time. I mean, think about it. The military bases are the perfect place to commit the perfect crime. You don't have any kind of public interference of any kind. You have, if the general is corrupt, then you can do whatever you want through the military base. And that's most certainly what was going on under Obama Biden. Then I just recently found out about another incident that somebody wrote into me, that was telling me about all of the deaths at Fort Bragg, which I didn't know about until recently. So there has been a total of 81 soldiers murdered at Fort Bragg. Most of them were homicides. The families want answers. The Army isn't given any. Timothy Dumas was one soldier. He served 19 years in the Army. including time in the Special Forces. So Fort Bragg is the home of the Special Forces, and so it's that's why there's Special Forces there. The other guy was Levine, who was a Ranger and a Navy SEAL. Some of the soldiers at Fort Bragg have been found beheaded. One of the guys that was found beheaded, it happened right on an Army camping trip. The CID has not solved any of these cases. I found the same thing in Arizona, that the CID is called the Criminal Investigation Division of the Army. They weren't trustworthy either. That's the problem. That's why I started trying to call the Phoenix police, because I was so afraid to even go to work. And then they kept saying, we have no jurisdiction on a military base. Okay, well, what if the CID isn't doing anything? We're supposed to just go to work and afraid to even go there, afraid we might be murdered right at the base. That's what I was dealing with at that base. Then some of them were found, some of them just turned up unresponsive right in the barracks, suggesting that there might have been drugs involved, or maybe they were drugged and murdered. In total, a staggering 81 soldiers have died at Fort Bragg in the last 3 years or so. This Fort Bragg is in North Carolina. So it is the home of the Special Forces, Airborne Corps, Joint Special Operations Command. So remember I had mentioned that I believe that they're targeting soldiers that they think know too much. I know that's why they're targeting me. They felt that I knew too much. Because of that embezzlement scandal that I accidentally touched on, that I became just part of a witness to. So I definitely am in the category of they think that I know too much. So I'm guessing, in my opinion, I bet you anything, a lot of these Special Forces guys knew too much. Airborne Corps, Joint Special Operations. Okay, so this just kind of confirms to me the seriousness of these things going on at these military bases, and that we have to get to the bottom of these things, and these people have to be, whoever's killing these soldiers has to be held accountable. I believe it's the CIA. So and then I ran into somebody else who told me about an incident at Camp Lejeune years ago, where her husband was poisoned from the water. There was literally like the whole base was found to have contaminated water, and all these soldiers got sick and then later died, and her husband was one of them. It was somebody I ran into right here in Minnesota. And so there's very serious things going on where it involves, of course it goes all the way up to the leadership up above. I mean, if you have bad leadership or criminal leadership, then you're going to have a corrupt base, and it's to the point where it's just terrifying to even think of being a soldier at one of these bases, or having a son or daughter at one of these in the military right now. And then a lot of soldiers are just getting out because they're really mad that they're being forced to get these vaccines. They don't trust Biden. I mean, we have a real crisis in the military right now. So I'm hearing from people. I want to just touch on this today. And I mean, this experience for me has been like life-changing. I've been terrorized for 10 years now. I've told my story. That's why I'm doing these videos, to document all of this, because I became a whistleblower and I got put on this list where they targeted individual list. And I mean, I have tried. The other thing that's so frustrating is that we try reaching out to like organizations that are supposed to be there to help us, for veterans organizations. Like I've tried reaching out to Wounded Warriors and things like that. I'm not physically wounded, but I'm extremely mentally and psychologically wounded from all of this abuse and this that has happened to me for years, where I've been harassed literally almost to death for years in various different ways. It's called the Targeted Individual Program. And I mean, I don't know, I'm just frustrated with all these organizations that are supposed to be helping the veterans, and we're not getting any help from, I know a lot of people that have been trying to reach out to Wounded Warriors, and we were not getting any help. I don't know if they just help people who are physically wounded, but you know, there's a lot of other kinds of wounds that you can't see that I think they need to help with, because, you know, we're being traumatized here. We're being murdered. People are being murdered right on these bases. You know, this cannot be just shoved under the table anymore. There's too many murders. There's 81 at Fort Bragg, 25 at Fort Hood, and there was tons right in Arizona. I've talked about it. I just think that the whole thing was covered up in Arizona, so we don't know the exact numbers, because I think that's probably the most were probably murdered in Arizona, because that was probably some of the most corrupt bases of them all. So and then I'm also having incidences with the VA here, and where, you know, they're trying to play games. You know, we've had, you know, supposed to, you know, I'm an honorable veteran. I've got all these awards and everything. I got out honorably, thank God. They forced me out on a medical, but thank God I got out honorably, and I have all my VA benefits and everything. But then they're messing with my benefits there. Like, they just, like, I have some injuries from different things that happened to me in the military, and I was just trying to go get physical therapy at the VA in St. Paul here, and the physical therapy area was not doing like what they were supposed to be doing. They were trying to get me to do exercises instead of therapy. Like, they're supposed to be doing manual therapy, or like Graston physical therapy, like where you're actually doing some kind of manual therapy to the injury. And they kept going in there, and they kept wanting me to do exercises. And I said, well, I have an injury and it needs to be strengthened before I can do the exercises. That's the whole point of physical therapy. And I was just like butting heads with them, and I barely got them to do any treatment on me at all, you know, maybe like 3. And then he said, well, I think we're done here. I think you're done with treatment now. And I said, are you kidding me? I said, we're not even beginning. These are like, they're 30-minute treatments. And I think, you know, I got maybe 10 minutes of actual treatment in each visit, in the 3 treatments. And he's like, oh, I think we're done here. And I got very upset, and I tried to request a different therapist. They wouldn't call me back and put me in with a different therapist. So I finally went in there, and I talked to the patient advocate area, and I said, well, okay, if you're not calling me back and putting me with somebody else, then pretty much you are neglecting me to get all together, and that's negligence. I said, you know, they said, well, if you're within a 60-mile ratio, you have to we can only approve you to come in here for physical therapy. And I said, because I was requesting outpatient, you can do community outpatient, you can request with community care, outpatient care, and because if there's certain things that they can't offer you at the VA. So I've learned these different tricks, and I request, and I said, well, and so they tried to give me a hard time, and they said, well, if you're within the 60-mile radius, Miss Davis, you can only get the care at the VA. And I said, yeah, but I didn't get any care there. I was supposed to receive between 8 and 12 visits, and he tried cutting me off after 3. And so I'm just going back and forth with these patient advocate people. And then I mean, they're just a joke. I mean, this is just a joke. And then they tried to say, so I was just saying to them but I wasn't getting any care there. I wasn't getting any care. So if you don't allow me to get outside care, then that will be considered negligence on your part, because then you're neglecting my care altogether. Okay, so then I had this fight with the VA. I finally got them to approve me for physical therapy, 15 sessions. I had to fight with him. I had to fight it out, you know. And then and then I said that fine, I'll just file a negligent charge against you, you know, if you don't. And I was like, then I got a form for filing a negligence charge. You wanna play games with the veterans? You know, we're gonna start filing negligence charges against the VA. You know, because then they tried to say that I was disruptive when I was talking to to the patient advocate, and I wasn't at all. I wasn't at all. I was just saying, being stern and knowing your rights is not disruptive behavior. And I'm just so tired of these games. They're trying to like make me look like I'm crazy or disorderly. I was just there saying, I did not get the care that I was supposed to. I was supposed to be getting 8 to 12 visits. He tried cutting me off after 3. Then you wouldn't put me with a different therapist. So basically, that would be considered negligence. That's not disruptive care. That's not disruptive behavior. I've had them, because I'm a whistleblower, I've actually had the VA police follow me around at the VA because they think that I'm some kind of disruption. This is the kind of thing I've had to deal with being a whistleblower for years now. They try to, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make me look bad any way they can, and try to make me look crazy, trying to make me look like I'm, like I'm out of line, because they know that they're so guilty that it's like not even funny, So I'm not even playing these games. That's why I'm doing these videos, because this is happening to other veterans too. There was this other guy in there, and he was also a whistleblower, and he said the same thing has happened to him, where he tried just reporting a complaint against a doctor or something, and then they had the police there watching him. One time we were both in the waiting room, and he's like, yeah, they did the same thing to me. They just, they had me watched just because I filed a complaint. Like they consider us now like that we have to be watched when we go in the VA if we're like whistleblowers or or just try to report it. I think there was like, I think Trump had like almost 2,000 doctors fired at the VA under his presidency because they were so bad. Because they were bad. They were bad. They didn't care about the veterans, and they should have never been. A lot of them should never have been hired to begin with. They were really bad, and we had a number that we could call to report them, and that was our right to be able to call. But then if you called that number, then sometimes you got on this list at the VA, and then they would consider you like disruptive. So then they would have like the cops kind of follow you around when you're at the VA. I've had all this type of things happen. So I'm just documenting this. I don't know if this is happening to other veterans. I know it's happened to some right here in St. Paul here. So, I record everything that I do. So I know that I wasn't disruptive. I was just stern with my rights, saying, I don't have to, if you're not going to provide me care somewhere else, then you're just neglecting my rights altogether for care. So, that's not disruptive behavior. So I'm just, I'm calling all these things on their crap. So anyway, just wanted to touch on these things with these other bases that, these things can't continue happening. People wonder why soldiers are getting out of the military, and just why they're mad, or the military is more mad than anybody, the way we've been treated. And some people can't understand, like why these are, there's such a disruption in our country, and why there's major things happening. Well, it's because we're not tolerating it anymore. And we're not tolerating. Nobody in their right mind would think that it's okay for this many deaths to happen on a military base. There's something very seriously wrong, and pretty soon we're not going to have any military at all if something doesn't happen. Like, there has to be mass arrests to people who are involved in these type of things, all the way up to the generals of these bases, the CIA who were involved. There has to be, because otherwise we're not going to have a military left. So I don't know, whatever side you're on, with the left, the right, Democrat, whatever, but anybody in their right mind would know that's ever been in the military or has ever had children in the military should be able to understand my very simple point I'm trying to make, is that this is not okay. You can't send a soldier to a military base and have them be worried about being murdered there. That anybody in their right mind would think that this is not okay. So, I just wanted to clarify these things today, and I'll do some more videos here soon. Thank you.